is Dr. Jaume Paune. He has the degree in optics and optometry and master in optometry and vision sciences by FOOT and is the fellow of International Academy of Orthokeratology and chairman of European Fellowship. He obtained his PhD on optics and optometry with the topic myopic control with radial refractive gradient contact lenses. He holds the Spaniard National Council of Optic and Optometry Award by his work about myopic control with contact in 1992 and for a new contact lens overnight orthokeratology lens design, a myopic control lens and a keratoconus contact lens design. So I would like to welcome him for his topic. Thank you. For his talk, sorry.
Okay, namaste. This is, for me, is a very important moment. So, tapailai betera, derai kusilagio. Dhanyavad to Yasavi and Virendra to invite me. So I have not so much time to run a topic that can be for 2 days. So I want to jump over many things, and I hope to have some time for questions later. If it's working, this is, yeah. Well, like John said, I don't believe me because I have too many interests, especially in design contact lenses for orthokeratology. So basically, is this working, not working? Yeah, that's Nepali battery, so it's a problem, right? Okay. Okay, basically, orthokeratology today, for me, is the gold standard in myopia control. Myopia is a tsunami worldwide. Maybe some of you will feel that it's quite earlier for Nepal, but it's not. It's not because Nepal is changing very, very, very fast. I came for first time in Nepal in 1997. At that time, no mobile phones, no computers, nothing at all. So Nepali say namaste, and today they are saying namaste. This changes our world. This will increase rates of myopia. This is pictures I take during my last trek in Manaslu area. This is a boy, very young, playing with the mobile phone in the lodge, and children doing his homework in a very close distance. Close distance and time for near work are maybe related to myopia. But one thing we know is if we don't have electricity, we have no myopia probably. So now we have electricity everywhere. We have education, and education and electricity goes to myopia. So the beautiful point is we have some theories, and one is a theory about peripheral refraction that John runs lovely yesterday. And myopia is slowed down by Ortho-K. There is today no doubt about that. We have enough data. And ranges of control is between 30 to 60, 70% depending of which study we have. So this could help a lot for this tsunami that is arriving right now. Now we are running a little bit more clinically, and how is the design of orthokeratology lens? Ortho-K lenses was developed, started in 1960s. It was a kind of discovery that people that wear GP lenses, after wearing that lenses, cornea was mold, was changed on refraction. And some optometrists in US start to use that to flatten the central part of the cornea to give clear vision during the day after after wearing and taking out the lenses. In 1991 was developed the first reverse geometry lens in the world. Here in the picture you could see one. The reverse geometry lenses means that you have the central curve of the lens that is flatter than the peripheral curves. So we have like a plate shape, and we have flatter central zone, steeper curve, and then landing zones. And in 1997 was the first time that the lenses were tried just during overnight. And luckily with these discoveries, today we have Ortho-K that works very well in the way that the patient put the lenses on before going to sleep, then wearing the lenses just overnight, and the morning they wake up, take out the lenses off, and cornea is mold, so we have clear vision during the day. This is very useful for people with dry eyes, because they can use that no evaporation, and it's very useful because children are not going to school with the lenses on, so it's very easy to control at home everything. So a lens, we have that shapes. Let's try. Yep. And basically here we have a map that is a pachymetrical map. Is the change on pachymetric thickness of human epithelium after wearing that kind of lenses. So we have a decrease on epithelial central thickness and increase on mid-peripheral epithelial thickness. I could share with you next slide. Yeah, this is before Ortho-K. This is OCT cut. So we have 56 microns epithelial thickness on center and 63 microns of epithelial thickness on mid-periphery. After wearing the Ortho-K lens, we have this change. We have a decrease on thickness on epithelial central zone and decrease in very far away, but we have a differential thickness. So Ortho-K is temporarily changing the thickness of the epithelium, and this is a technique that is removing and adding technique. LASIK, for example, is a removing technique. They take out tissue. Here we take out thickness on the center and we increase thickness on mid-periphery, and combining both, we have the treatment. So that means in higher treatment refractions, we will have smaller optical zones, and lower treatments we have larger optical zones. This has an implication for myopia control with Ortho-K, because we know that in lower myopia we get bigger optical zones that controls less good. We have the plus power far away. So that's why today we modify our designs to have smaller optical zones in our lenses to create the red ring on topography. The red ring you see in the topography is relate the changes of power, corneal power. So that red ring we see is the increases on the power on cornea that changes the peripheral refraction, pulling in front of retina. That is the signal that, in theory, slows down myopia. In theory, yeah. So we have several systems to fitting that kind of lenses. One is empirically. That's what we will do today in a workshop later. So we are using a trial set. We use the keratometry data, and then we choose the lens from the trial set, put on eye, see the fluorescein, and change the lens accordingly. Other systems are using topography maps and send that topography to the lab, and the lab will provide to you the lens. And other systems are using software to design yourself your lenses. So it could be very simple to very complex. It depends of the lens or design you are using. I want to jump over next slides because it's just fitting, and I will work more specifically on my workshop later. So people that are not interested, they are not necessary to stay here. But basically, how we fit. So how it works in my mind today, Ortho-K, many people think that we are flattening by compression. But indeed, it's not that the way we are working. Indeed, our epithelial cells are able to keep more or less water and generate more tear layers or less cells layers where they are able to be. And it's because our lid, when it's blinking, is creating a change of the shape of the surface. Now we are placing a plastic device in between the lid and cornea, and then epithelial cells could fill the gap and could create the increase in mid-periphery. So the basic thing in fitting Ortho-K lenses is the tear film layer. Tear film layer needs to be enough that central part of the lens don't touch the apical zone. We don't want that the back optical zone, the central zone of the lens, touches the epithelium. If that occurs, you will have staining. And if you have staining, that is a point of danger. It's a point where a disease could arise. You could have a microbial keratitis there. So you should avoid staining after wearing any kind of lenses. And Ortho-K lenses is not by pressure that they working. They work by hydrodynamic forces, and we need tear layer between the lens and the cornea. So the tear layer profile is basically the most important thing. So now we arrive to a section, if it's working. No working. Can you move the? Yeah, thank you so much. So using a trial set is using the fluorescein patterns. Fluorescein is an art. Is an art of the more than a science, and we need to learn how to do. So I want to jump a little bit over some slides if that's working. We have two main tools. One tool is fluorescein that is easily reached because it's very cheap, the fluorescent strips, but very difficult to have topographers. Topographer is necessary to do Ortho-K fitting. Without it, you don't control how you are doing the fitting. So topographer provides the K readings, of course, eccentricity, of course, the shape of the cornea, but mainly it provides how you are modifying your cornea where you're fit. And that's the more important thing, because when everything is running well, no problem. But when the things are bad, then we need something to help us to control. This is the fighting process. That's the slides. I will run a little bit there. But basically, we need to do enough topography to be sure that we have the data that is correct. Then we need to calculate our lens, put the lens on eye, look at the fluorescein pattern, decide if the lens is correct. If it's not, we go to the trial set, we replace for a new one, and so on. Then we deliver the lens and try an overnight trial. So this is, I will explain more in the workshop, this, sorry. Then next day, the point is see the visual acuity, refraction, corneal health, and topography, and so on. One thing we do in every visit we have the patient is control how they put and take out the lens, how they clean the lens, because that is the most main issue. Safety. We need to work very well in safety. So this is the schedule. And this is not working, so yeah, slowly. So basically, that's the way we do. We measure the topography, we decide the lens, we work with the lens with the fluorescent pattern, we check the lens after one night. If everything is okay, we continue. If it's not okay, we replace the lens. Then after 4 nights, we do again. After 10 nights, after 2 weeks, 3 months, and so on. Basically, the most important thing is the safety. So, if this is working, I will explain a little bit more about safety later, but this is how to perform fluorescein. This is useful for any kind of GP lenses you are using in your clinical basis. Basically, the first thing is avoid bubbles. To avoid bubbles, you need to insert the lens looking down with the lens total filled up with fluid, okay? Like scleral lenses and so on. The second thing is wait for 2 or 3 minutes. If you don't wait enough, you will have fluorescein everywhere. You don't understand what you are looking at. You need to wait that the fluorescein is gone in the front part of the lens. Then you could check it is. The yellow filter is the enhancer for vision. So if your slit lamp doesn't have yellow filter, put a yellow filter in front of your slit lamp to see better. Okay, this is like this, without filter, with filter, okay. Now, the second thing we need to do is pull the lids apart. If you look the fluorescent pattern with the blinking, it's very difficult to understand what is happening. It's good for movement, but it's not good for assess the overall size of the lens. So, open the lids and look the lens centered there. The next thing is we need to evaluate the central zone of the lens that is touching or not touching the cornea, because if the lens is touching cornea, that will be a problem. Yeah, this zone, yep, it's quite slowly. Okay, so lens from the left is you have some green color in the center. It's not touching apical zone. That is the correct fitting. On right side you have a touch that is not correct fitting. So you can see there is some staining there. Staining means problem. So the next thing you look is the ceiling zone. Ceiling zone is the final of the first reverse curve. This point of the lens. This should be aligned to the cornea. When you have that zone aligned to the cornea, so you can see not green there, so dark, then the lens is perfectly fit. If you have not proper alignment there, you will have not good treatment. So you need to align very well there. Flattening the periphery, making zone torics, and so on. There's more complex things to do there. But basically this is, okay, so ceiling zone is that point. Now, yeah. That's the pressure, negative, positive pressure on the lens. Okay. Next, the diameter. Total diameter is very important. You need to have a lens that covers 98% of the cornea. Yeah. So you can check the total diameter there. Okay. So this is the lens that is too big, lens too small. And then you have your fluorescent pattern, which lens is correct. So basically, insert the lens, put the fluorescent, wait for 3 minutes, use yellow filter, wait until no fluorescent in front part of the lens, then open, put lids apart, look the lens centered without interaction, check if it's touching the center, check if you have good alignment in periphery, check if the diameter is correct, and so on. Then you have knowledge what to do with your lenses on eye. This is for any GP lens you can use. Management instructions. That is very important because that is the point for safety. So I don't know if video will run there, but basically we are putting drops inside the lens and looking down, putting the lens from down to avoid bubbles inside the lens, okay? And extraction is using 2 fingers or a plunger with the same system, but patient needs to put some tears at the moment when you wake up, and then lens blink a little bit and then release the lenses. Not moving the lens, just pushing the finger in, going inside to release the lens without movement. When we release the lens with movement, then we have the mucin is attached to the epithelial cells, so it will keep some epithelial cells out. You will have staining. That means you need to push up and down inside to release the lens easily. If you do some bad movement, you will have staining there. So that needs to be avoided. Not tap water, please. That's the most higher danger we have in any kind of contact lenses. And peroxides could be the most ideal way to disinfect the lenses. So this is not working. Yeah. No wrap to avoid this, deformation of the lens. Use peroxide. Yeah. And hope the future will be just no glasses, more like a play for children. Thank you so much, Daniel.